Hey guys, welcome to Mouths of the Merrimack. I'm Captain Chris here with
Dan Diodati.
And today we have our good friend, one of our buddies, one of the founding members that helped us out, write some blogs, always fun to talk to, our good friend, Captain John Parkhurst.
Hey guys.
How you doing today, sir?
It's going to be a good one.
Feeling loose. We got the juices flowing.
Yeah. I'm just ready.
You're just ready to let it all out?
This is going to be real awkward. We're going to make some people blush.
Well, it's been 45 minutes of us making each other blush before we even came on.
Yeah, it's going to get weird.
Oh, man. So for those that may have listened before, we did do a podcast with John last year. It was one of our, what was it, episode 3?
Yeah, episode 3.
Yeah, it was in the single-digit episodes, and it was awesome to have him. We learned all about what he does, where he came from, and why he's making and what he's making happen on the water these days. So we figured we'd switch gears a little bit here.
Yeah. So, I think we can maybe start off with talking a little bit about the Haddock stuff because we got the new season.
Yeah, we got a lot to talk about that regards. And, your boat is our first annual trip. We make sure, like you spent last weekend, instead of coming to the show, you got your boat ready. So we had a chance to go fishing in comfort.
Yeah. And anybody that, follows me, you'll see the laundry list of stuff that, you got to go through to do the preseason checks and, update anything that could, possibly cause you problems. And you don't want to be stranded out there. So, do all your safety checks, your maintenance, and the big thing is, it's cost savings. If you can do the maintenance yourself, if you can clean your own boat, polish your own boat, those are huge money savers. Painting your own bottom.
And they're not incredibly difficult tasks. It's just a matter of having the time and learning how to do it properly.
Yeah, and it's just take your time while you're first doing it. A lot of it's on YouTube. It really
everything.
Yeah, so it's you can learn or talk to people that that have already done it. It's I learned how to shrink wrap sort of from you and watching it on YouTube, and I borrowed your gun for 3 years, and then I could talk to you all day about that damn cover.
Mine ripped yesterday.
Sealskin covers, not all that it cracked up to be.
I had 2.5 good years with it, and then
very disappointing. I'm gonna have to build a whole frame.
Did they refund it for you?
No, they ghosted me.
Did they? Because I emailed them yesterday.
Like a Tinder date,
and I haven't gotten anything back yet.
Yeah. Once you ripped it open, they never call you back.
Yeah.
Well, for the price you pay for it, I'm 2 seasons in. Mine did hold up.
Yeah.
So it just.
I think it's obviously the design of the boats, maybe your actual center console is more centered, so it disperses the weight, and maybe how you strapped it.
Yeah, well, I think it's a shorter boat too, and it has a bigger T-top, so the roof support is the big deal.
I think particularly where I stored my boat this year at the house, I didn't push it all the way back up on the hill, so I had kind of a downward slope towards my stern. And when we got that big snowstorm the other day, it looked like everything melted, and there was a puddle, and then that froze, and then that
heavy.
Yeah, because I usually don't have anything on my stern side. You know what I mean? So I had a little piece of wood going across the T-top, but I didn't really make a frame because it's never been an issue for me. So it looks like this year that could have been what happened. So
I think I still need a whole backbone because I wanted to get it to be more of a tree rooftop.
Yeah.
Up above the radar dome.
Gotcha. Yeah.
Because that was bringing a lot of weight onto the house, and then that was pulling on the rocket launchers.
Yeah.
And there's a Velcro seam right there. It's the worst spot for it.
Yeah.
So I ended up taking towels and making knots over each one of the rod holders up on the roof, and just so it wouldn't rip.
Yeah.
That's the other thing is a couple of people I was talking to said, "Oh, my boat wrap ripped," and they're like, "Well, it must be a sharp edge." And it's you got to go through and get the pool noodle foam and kind of wrap stuff and tape it.
Yeah, I just kind of stick koozies up top.
Exactly.
Yeah, I did with my rod holders. I just took 2 towels and rolled them up and then put them on top. And then, did the trick.
Yeah, so there's definitely different tricks. Just so you guys know, when you're doing your wraps or buying covers or whatever, you got to look at the supports and. I'd love a 50-foot barn with a boat.
Oh, that'd be amazing. Yeah.
That's the dream.
That's the dream.
That's the dream. Just a barn to go and tinker on your boat all winter long.
That's it.
Did you have any major projects this year that you wanted to get done?
Yeah.
Last year you did quite a bit too, right?
Yeah. So I'm doing the 1,000-hour maintenance on the motor. First time Let me see. What's the first time I've done? So I did the internal anodes. That was actually wicked easy, and they were real. I mean, as some of you guys know, I trailer my boat, so my boat's not in the saltwater or brackish water of the Merrimack all the time. So I'm flushing the motor every day in a big, Rubbermaid tub. So the internal anodes are like behind the ECU on the Yamaha 250. So literally, you pull that off, and there's a couple more in the head on each side, but there's 8, I believe. I think it was 8 anodes total, and they all look good. I could actually read the number on the anodes. So I was like, I got them out. Screw it. I'll just do it. So I changed the internal anodes, and then the impeller, I bought the whole housing. So that's like the $250 kit for the impeller and stuff like that. Doing it by yourself, it's a bitch. I mean, these guys obviously do it all the time, so they're much more familiar with it. But like, I've done it twice now, 3 times.
Do you find you get a better rhythm the more and more you do it, or is it still like a fucking clusterfuck every time?
I think honestly, like that one would be just nice to have an extra set of hands to like turn the flywheel up top to line it up when you're like holding this, awkward 60, 70 pound lower unit.
It's the awkwardness of it all.
Yeah. And then like lining up the shifter and all that stuff at the same time. I mean, I've seen a couple tricks on YouTube that I didn't really explore. I just kind of muscled it in and fiddle fucked it until I got it. Well,
that's half the time really what it is too,
Yeah, you're tired, At least it's not like you're getting, eaten alive. It's like 50 degrees. This is the time to do the maintenance because it's actually enjoyable to be outside.
Yeah, the weather just starts turning nice, and it's your day starts off. You're excited. You're like, I'm going to get this done. It's a beautiful day, and then after your 5th trip to West Marine, and one gremlin after another. Ugh.
Yeah, biggest thing, like I changed all the scupper tubes. That was the big project last fall.
Yeah.
So on the Steiger, those brass tubes that you have to buy a flaring kit. So you buy the brass tubes; they're already flared on one side. You have to, bang them out, push them back in, get all the 5200 out as much as you can, and then goop up the new one, put it in there, reflare it, and then 5200 kind of touch up around the edges and stuff like that. But then I bought the new scupper flaps, which we know they last a couple seasons where they work pretty good, but then they just get tired.
Can you just replace the flaps?
Yes, on the new TH ones, there's literally a set screw, and like you don't even have to pull the whole thing apart.
I'm going to take a look at mine because my flaps kind of suck, and it's been an issue.
That's what I've been told about you.
Yeah.
And here we go.
Wait, so what are you using to actually free up the 5200?
Actually, it's pretty simple. You just use like a flat edge, like a scraper, putty scraper.
Okay.
And you kind of it's brass, so it's pretty soft. So you just kind of push the outer ring in, and once you kind of get it all mushroomed inside of itself, yeah. Why is my hand right here? You basically use the back end of a screwdriver or whatever, and then just punch it back inside the boat.
Yeah,
and they kind of come free.
Do you have to use that remover for that, or does it kind of just come right out?
No. So that what the hell is it? That yellow bottle, the anti-C's or E's or something like that for the 5200.
It's like legitimately made for 5200, right?
Yeah, and I've used that for any through hulls, especially the transducers.
Yeah.
When I was changing out my B60 transducer out for the Furuno, that stuff is a freaking time saver because doing it the other way, you almost have to like get a Dremel and cut the locking nut and all that stuff. You just squirt that stuff, wait a little bit, work your putty knives in and keep squirting it, and then boom.
I remember you calling me and I heard so many words I'd never heard before come out of your mouth. Yeah,
you'll hear them.
You were trying to scrape it out for days, and then you got the spray. And
I even had, I think the first time I got so frustrated, I called Blue Frontier, the local electronics guy, and he came out, or one of the guys came out. Was it Hooper?
Bill. Bill's the owner, yeah.
Yeah, it wasn't him, but it was one of the other guys, and he was like, this sucks. And he was, fighting with it for 2 hours, too. So I didn't feel so bad, but obviously I felt bad when I got the bill.
Yeah.
They're not cheap, but they do good work. So, yeah, you get what you pay for. But, yeah, so that's a big thing. The boat maintenance, the motor maintenance, just cleaning. Cleaning the boat, getting that ready. All my electronics I like. The autopilot's been fantastic.
Was last year your first year with the autopilot, or was that your second?
Second year.
Dude, isn't it a game changer?
I'll never go without it.
Fallon actually just had Blue Frontier put autopilot, 2 new screens, radar on his boat because he got the boat last year, like right before the season began.
Yeah.
So he had Bill go through. I think it's actually at a shop now.
Wow.
And they're putting all the stuff on, and he's so excited for autopilit. It's
Did
such
he
a
go
great
Garmin
tool.
with everything? Or?
He went with Garmin with everything. Yeah.
So that's the thing is like, it's funny. I'm starting to see a lot of used boats that have the Minn Kota trolling motor or a trolling motor with a Humminbird screen. Like so they want that for their fish finder, but then a lot of them will have like a Garmin screen for their GPS stuff. It's very interesting how some people are pairing things. Yeah, and I'm seeing that more in the used market. Typically new, it's like everybody goes all Simrad, all Garmin, all Humminbird.
Yeah, so figure like if you're somebody who gets a used boat, maybe like if they have 2 electronics, or like you want something like a trolling motor to go, or you want good side scan, because the side imaging stuff really just started being good a few years ago.
Yeah.
So
across the board it's good, but I still think like Humminbird pretty much got it down pretty awesome. I mean, I'm impressed with what Garmin's coming.
You have Garmin, right?
I have Garmin, and I love it, but like seeing the images you guys have, it is pretty freaking wild.
Yeah, but your autopilot situation is pretty sweet too, because you get the one where you don't have to press a button; you can just turn it like the Dodge or Lobster Pot, right?
Yeah. Oh God, I forget what they call that, but
like auto steer or something like that.
I can't remember what it is, but basically, you can, you see a lobster pot, boom, you yank it. As soon as you let go of the wheel for like 10 seconds or whatever, it basically distinguishes that you're back on course, and it just all of a sudden starts correcting.
Yeah, that's the one thing about mine. I gotta shut it off, turn, or like. It's not quick enough to turn the knob and turn the boat.
Yeah.
So, I mean, it takes a second, and you should be right there keeping your eye on everything anyway, you know? But it would be nice to just kind of turn the wheel and dodge it.
Yeah. And I think, like, when you had your old boat with the Lowrance, that was always kind of weird.
Yeah.
Trying to, like, you had to hit the red button.
I actually had, like, a red button there. Like, that was it. It was just like a kill switch. You could hit it, and then you can kind of get lined up, but then you had to reset the whole course. At least with the Humminbird, I could press the button, shut it off, move, get back on course, and hit it again.
The one thing I don't know if it's just common across the whole board is that, like, I like heads up. We've talked about north up versus head up.
Weirdo.
I am a weirdo, but whatever. But like when I'm going across and I'm looking at the screen, when I first got it, my boat was crooked, and I'd be going across the screen like that, and that was totally frustrating. So then I called Garmin, and they basically said I needed it was like a different type of it was
a heading sensor?
A heading sensor, yeah, compass sensor, whatever. So I put that in, and then it gave me the ability to basically correct it a little bit. But even still, like if you're zoomed in very much, it's obviously more drastic than if you're not. So I'm probably at like, I don't know, 11:30.
Are you course up or head up?
Head up.
Okay. So your head up is where you're heading, right?
Yeah.
Like where your boat's pointing.
Yeah, so
but your course up would be where your boat's going. So that's like the other funky thing, like when you first get autopilot.
But if I'm in autopilot, that's what's screwing it up.
Yes,
so
exactly.
If I'm in autopilot, sometimes my course looks like it's a little bit, it should be straight.
Correct.
Course up.
Yeah.
If I'm heads up and that's accurate, then that should be lined up.
But that's the weird thing about autopilot is that where you're heading isn't necessarily where you're going.
Yeah.
And it really freaked me out when I first got mine. I had the whole way in and out of the Merrimack charted on my autopilot. But you go to press it, especially when you're going slower, it looks like you're going to go right towards this buoy. You're like,
Yes.
and like it's hard to trust. So I don't really use it unless it's foggy out.
And I get that. And I'm like, is this thing so sophisticated that it's like taking the current and the wind and all this stuff into effect? I just thought it was like, all right, well, as it starts to drift a fraction of a degree off course, it just corrects.
Yeah.
But I'll be, you know me, I'm filleting on the back of the boat, and I'll feel this like little correction.
Yep.
And I'm like, how do I get rid of that? Because it's a if you're wielding a knife at 20 miles an hour, 25 miles an hour, you really don't want something the whole asset to
go
just
real quick,
like or someone to just hit one of the tilt and trim.
Yeah, especially on your boat, right?
Yeah.
That DV, it's a big deal.
Yeah, that's always a fun time, but got to trust who's watching the wheel.
You don't have autopilot on yours,
No, I
right?
don't.
Yeah,
Not yet.
It's awesome.
But you know what?
Running out of things to spend money on, so
It's been an expensive winter.
Well, I could tell you that once I save my pennies up, the trolling motor is definitely going to go. I just see so many advantages. Like last year, the guys that were anchoring at times were just kicking my butt on the haddock. These haddock were they were a little bit frustrating at times. There was some really good days where you go out there, it was easy. We were done, in 2 hours, 2.5 hours. And then there was sometimes, man, it was a grind. And this is early season when it's usually good. Yeah. And we were frustrated, we were just banging our heads like, what? We're seeing them, but they're smaller piles, which, gets to the regulations. They changed the regulations up to 20 per person at 17 inches for obviously the start of it. They're going to come out with new regs May 1st. The talk, it hasn't, I don't think it's officially.
No, I think the Matt Air said
it is official
last week. Yeah.
Okay. So we're looking at back to 15 fish, which I don't know why they even went to 20.
When did they go to 20? Was it beginning of May last year?
No, it wasn't all season. It was at the end of the year.
Okay, all right. Because I was going to say, because I was only keeping 15 last year. So that's right. It was towards the end of the year, right?
Yes. And it was like a change order. It wasn't even, I don't think it was what the initial regs were.
Because they were talking about doing it at the very beginning last year, and I think it just kept getting pushed down the road. Yeah. That's what it was.
I don't think they ever should have gone to 20.
It makes no sense. Why?
It's just too many fish.
Dude, that's so many fish.
Yeah. And for being a charter captain, and I'm a solo guy, I don't have a mate, it's a pain in the butt to fillet. I got 4 or 5 people. That's 80, 100 fish.
Yeah, dude.
Plus all the other bycatch.
Yeah, plus last year with all the redfish we were getting.
Woo-wee.
Yeah. A few pollock, a few cusk here and there.
Yeah. Cuskadoos. Baloney mouths.
Oh, that redfish fishing was fun last year.
That was,
We had some pigs.
And you know what? I've seen some of the stuff out there online where they're really promoting, like Eastman's really big into going after reds, like this time of year. And that's pretty cool that fishery has really started to kind of get a lot of notoriety. It's an awesome fish.
They're good fish. And I honestly think they're the perfect size, too, because it's like one fish. You can make like a bunch of tacos or, whatever. It's a good serving.
As a non-fish eater, I find it to be very tasty.
Yeah. It's, when we were catching like, 15-inch slobs and stuff like that, it was like, this is like a really thick fillet.
Yeah.
You're getting
nice
a
chunk.
decent cut. It's not like the old ones where you're like, I hope it's 9.5.
Right?
Yeah.
You're like, oh no.
It's like,
no,
cutting up your pet goldfish.
Yeah, that one's coming up.
Flush it down the toilet. Yeah. Well, it doesn't matter. You throw them back, they just float with their seagull bait anyway.
Yeah.
It's amazing that you'll see a seagull eat one and be like, ooh, that's gonna hurt. And they keep doing it. They keep doing it.
Yeah, they got an endless throat. That's what I was hoping for. But going back to shark fishing last year, what a freaking good time.
Great shark fishing year.
That was amazing.
Great shark fishing year.
I know you tuna fishermen fucking hate them, but they're a lot of fun on a charter. And you know what? Some of the guys that have converted over to doing some shark fish are like, they are kind of fun. And I'm like, it's constant action. Like, that's what we're there to do. We're trying to get people out there. Like, I got the grill going. I'm listening to freaking, good tunes.
Yeah, catch some haddock while you wait.
Catching haddock, so they're filling up.
A couple of tuna pop up over there. Go take a shot at them.
Yeah, it's another tool in our belt that we can use to get on to fish that they feel a heavy ass fish and they're fighting it out of their big rod and they feel cool about it. The tuna scene is, man, there's days off. You can't catch. It's hard to keep up with the regs. You got to buy all the safety gear. It's a big commitment to that fishery, and the prices aren't always that great.
Yeah, on the commercial side,
Yeah,
I feel like the show is just like totally.
Yeah,
it's like $20 a pound. Like, who got $20 a pound for a fish last year?
Yeah, and who gets the price at the dock?
Yeah.
Yeah. Okay.
I know.
Yeah. So, everybody I know, they're like, I got my price 4 days later, 3 days later, after it. Whether or not it went to Japan or not, it seemed like the local market was, kept things going from what some of the guys were saying. So, but again, hey, guys going out fishing, making a living or doing it for fun and offsetting their costs or making a charter, getting like basically some guys look at it as like it's a bonus on a charter.
Yeah, as a tuna, throwing a tuna line out like shark fishing or something. Yeah, why not?
If you got all the stuff, you're already buying it, and you get lucky enough to hook up with one, and you make $1,500 or $2,000 for that day on a bonus fish.
Well, think of
all power to you.
how many people see like that show or they hear about tuna and they're just starting to get into boating, or they're starting to get into a bigger boat maybe to go venture offshore a little bit more, and they invest all this money and all this equipment, and they really don't have the time to really figure it out. Some people do and they do a great job, but how many people go out there 5 or 6 times and it's just like, this kind of sucks, dude? Go shark fishing.
Absolutely,
go shark fishing.
I mean, I think that they catch sharks when they're tuna fishing,
but it's not fun on a 130.
Exactly, unless they catch like a giant thresher, or cool ass mako, or something like that. But like we do it the same way. Is like, oh, we're looking at 5-6 foot blue dogs. Well, it's a ball catching them on striper gear.
Yeah, on Torium 16s, dude.
Absolutely.
It's a riot.
It's awesome.
Riot.
It's a riot.
Oh, dude, we caught some pigs too.
Yeah,
like, honestly,
some
like
big ones this year.
300-pound blues.
Yeah,
It's like,
there was some bigger class. Was it the year before they were like really short?
The last, not this year, but the
think it was
last
2 years
years before that,
Yes.
there was tons of numbers. But my God, they were like
dinks.
small. They were
Dinks, yeah.
dinks.
But
And
last year, it was averaging 7.5.
I would say at
8.5,
least like about 2.25 average, maybe.
yeah.
You still get a dink or two, but the nice thing about the dink ones is they come right up to the boat, so you can get an eye on them. At that point, I'll reel in my closest big rod, and then we'll just start baiting it with the small shit. And if they roll up and you break off or something.
I got a few last year. There was the width of like a 55-gallon drum. It seemed like.
Oh yeah.
They come up. It's like, holy shit.
Yeah, you get one of those big blue dogs with the width on it. Those are a bitch.
Girthy.
Yeah, the big bulls.
Girthy.
And some blue sharks fight like mad. They're all a little bit different, but once in a while, man, you get one where you look to somebody, you're like, this might be the one.
Yeah.
This might be the mako.
Yeah, so we were doing a lot of trolling last year because we had the nice sized tuna kind of popping up and down, and I had my 50 wides, and I ran a top shot, which typically how I run my shark rigs, I run just pre-made leaders, loop to loop connection, no top shot. I use 400-pound.
You go straight to braid.
I go straight to braid, but I use that 400-pound mono as just an abrasion thing for like the last 25 feet. Well, I don't know. I was being lazy, and I should have just cut it off and tied a loop on and done a loop-to-loop. But I was like, I can hand line the last thing. Well, we caught a giant blue dog on this thing, so I have 25 feet. I got a hand line.
Yeah.
And I'm like, this is not going to go well. And I was absolutely right.
Oh, so you just tied it on?
I just tied it on. So I couldn't,
couldn't reel it up?
Couldn't bring it in. Oh. So I'm like, I get it to the boat. I'm like, and I thought he was calm. So bringing him in. And all of a sudden he takes a run, and I just go like this. And literally the loop just went right over one of my my guides and just caught it. And I go, oh, no. And it went boom. And it broke right at the ferrule.
Oh,
and it broke the bent butt.
No shit. One of your good rods, too? Or?
The rod's fine.
Oh.
The guy got a little bent. Tweaked it a little bit. It's fine. But the actual bent butt got snapped, which was the cheapest part to break, which I was happy. That was like $100 mistake.
Yeah.
But yes, do not ever do that. That was a lesson learned. Like, it was just like I was tuna fishing, then we got into the sharks, and it was just like I was trying to bounce back and forth, and it's like, take that extra time because, man, leadering a shark is no joke. They can definitely do things you don't expect right at the last second.
Yeah, when I would mate for Chris, I like to get him in the leader and give him the extra little shake so they get one more.
Yeah, definitely. I can't do it anymore. Guess what? You can.
There it goes.
But, that's a great point about the wind-on leader. For our members, if you haven't seen it yet, Dan and I did a video that took a while to make. It was hard to film and talk and make it, so I hope you guys watch it on making our wind-on leader shark system. And just like what John's talking about, the old school way of going shark fishing was you have your reel with your mono or whatever at the end, and then you put a swivel on, and then you'd have 10, 15 feet of cable, 20 feet of cable, and then like a 6 to 10 foot piece of steel. Or if you got one of those pre-rigged shark leaders at the store, I think they were like 12-foot shots of single strand wire. And the issue with that is, particularly if you're fishing on smaller boats like us, when you can't reel past that swivel, so you got 20 feet of line that you got to hand line in the rest of the way. And that's where a lot of problems occur. And especially with me running charters by myself, or back in the day, me and Mike used to do 2-man shark trips. Oh, yeah. Oh, man, those are always fun, especially when we got into them. And, you really cut down on the danger factor of that aspect. And we actually have it on, when we first started fishing for sharks when I was young, we actually have a little bit of a cell phone camera view of me almost dying. My dad was leadering the fish, and it was the same thing. I think we clipped on a long piece of mono, because we went into the wind on things. I must have been like 17, 18 or so. And I remember telling my dad, it was like one of the first ones he had leadered. I'm like, hey, if that thing runs, just throw that line down in the water. Just throw it away. Throw it away. So he's up there, and, you know, his knuckles are up by his chin. He's holding it. The thing goes to run, and he throws it up in the air.
Yeah.
And literally, you can see my eyeballs in the camera. Watch this thing go, take a loop around my tip, and I just dropped my rod tip down right in time, and it came right off.
Yeah.
And I was just like, I yelled at him. I'm like, dude,
that must have been a Greek festival.
Dude,
Yeah, mine caught, I think it was like the third or fourth one down from the tip, and it hooked up, like, and it was, I just go, get away, and we all just backed away from it, and luckily, it snapped and dropped in the water, and when it did, I reached down and grabbed it, but the line had snapped too, so I was able to recover the rod.
Yeah.
If not, bye-bye.
Dude, you know what the scariest thing was? We were out one day, and I was fishing, and my TLD 25s caught 1 million sharks on them. 1 million sharks on them. They're a little hot rod, and we upgraded the handles, we upgraded the drags and some stuff. But
Not bragging.
one time we no, just because the little ones, the normal ones, if you don't change the handle, it's really the handle thing. That's
Well, yeah,
a
you gotta have that
difference.
power handle.
Yeah, it makes all the difference in the world. But anyways, it was like a regular sized blue shark standing up. Well, actually, I was wearing a harness in this one. And some of the line buried in between the spool and the frame.
Oh, yeah.
And my rod tip just went right down and no line came out. And you know what happened? The back of the reel snapped, like the graphite.
Oh.
The whole thing ripped apart. And I was lucky enough, the thing came flying up. It all happened in a second. It sounded like a gunshot. The line hit the rod, the guide, line broke, reel fell in the boat. And then the rod fell out of the harness and was floating on the water.
Wow.
And we grabbed the rod, and Kay actually had a TLD frame at the shop. So, yeah. But
switcheroo.
that was a little scary. And then I just went to 50 wides after that, not messing around.
I broke a Thunus this year on the frame.
On the frame?
On the frame, right on the back where it hooks into the rod.
On the frame?
On the frame. On the frame? The frame boss.
On the
Wait,
reel
how
stem?
did that happen?
That's weird.
It was just, man, I'm so disappointed with those Thunuses. I've had nothing but problems with them. I love Shimano, man, but you broke my heart. You broke my heart.
Yeah, I've gone through quite a bit of it too,
just-
but I haven't had things snap. I've had issues with the bait runner.
They're the more expensive, version of. I mean, the old 8000Ds that I got, I could beat the crap out of them.
Yeah.
Everybody's dropped them and kicked them around my boat. I sent them out to Shimano. They rebuilt them. That's like 9 years of useful life. That's fantastic.
That's worth it.
And then the Thunus, one season, halfway through the season, the thing's snapping. I'm like,
That is crazy.
it's like, why am I spending an extra $100 on this reel per reel? I was disappointed. I got a bunch of them too, so it's like, well, when they
So how
got-
the rest of them hold up? Were they all right at least?
so I sent them all out. I had like I think 4 or 5 of them, and they all kind of like got weird by the end of the season.
Okay.
And then one of them snapped, so that one was totally out of commission. So I haven't reached out to Shimano about the one that snapped. I'm sure they'll cover it or they'll do whatever, but like they're going to give me the same reel. It's not like it's better. It's not like they corrected the problem.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's gonna happen.
I feel like bait runner reels in general inherently always have some sort of issues.
But those 8000s, man, or even the 6000, but the Gold D series, they just I don't know. They shouldn't be better, but they are.
Yeah.
But I mean, the guys were telling me like the 4500, the
The
chrome.
old school ones were dope.
Yeah, I just sold one of those at our last year at our fishing fair.
Yeah.
Dude, and you probably got like pretty good money for
I
it.
sold it for $80.
Dude, they were retail
want
for
'em.
95 20 years ago.
Yeah.
Yeah, people want them.
People want them. They're the goat.
But yeah, for bait runners, those are pretty slick. And I know some guys switch over to conventional reels. But I like that I have that, and I use the Tsunami. No, not the Tsunami. The Daiwa rods.
Those are the Harriers. Those are pretty
Yeah.
sweet. I like
And
those.
cheap rod, nothing fancy, like $110, I think. But man, they last. That my customers are never gentle on stuff. So I mean, one of them dresses up in a singlet most of the time when he comes out on my boat, American flag singlet.
If you guys ever see him out there, you got to give him a wave, give him a salute.
Yeah.
What's his first name again?
Justin.
Justin. Yeah, I love it early in the morning. You know, you're out there, you're trying to get your mackerel, and John comes over, he's putting over, and you think he's going to say, hey, how they biting? But nope, you just get this grown-ass man in American flag leotard thong who just wakes up my crew every morning.
Yep. Love that guy.
How many times do you take him out? Once a year?
Not enough. No. Yeah, I mean, we probably do 4 or 5, maybe even 6 trips.
Does he wear the singlet for every trip?
Yeah, it's always underneath there.
It's usually a different one, too. I feel like he's switched it up the last few years.
He's got some other things, like he had one that said, I heart anal.
He did.
He did.
He did. He did.
He always has a good shirt. And I don't know if he does actually heart it, but, you know, whatever.
Yeah.
Well, did you hear? So you heard the story when I had Jeremiah on my boat and he was on your boat.
Oh, yeah.
And they were all swapping jokes back and forth while we were mackerel fishing. Well, I guess like a month later, I took Jeremiah's crew out again and his buddy Mike goes, hey, remember that guy Justin on John's boat? He goes, yeah. He goes, I saw him at the gas station the other day. I go, what? He goes, we locked eyes. And I said, how's your butt? He just started cracking up. He knew exactly who I was. We talked about for 10 minutes.
Yeah. My Drake crew, I love those guys. Yeah, absolutely. Yeah, the Drake guys are they're awesome. I'm already planning on a couple of trips with them for sure. Kanan came out with us too. He's one of our. So they all work for EJ. Well, a couple of the guys work for EJ Paving. So.
Oh yeah, they did my neighbor's driveway across the street.
That's where Dana White actually started working. Was with EJ Paving. Yeah.
Dana White, the UFC guy.
Yeah, the UFC guy.
He's from around here.
Yeah. So I guess the owner of EJ Paving and Dana are still relatively friendly. So they go out to the UFC fights sometimes. And
yeah, that's cool.
Yeah. So yeah, Justin's big into fishing. He's actually. I think him and his other buddy Payne won. It was either Payne or Johnny, I can't remember, but they're big into kayak, freshwater fishing, bass fishing, and they won like the league or something like that locally. So that was something that he had been working on for a while, and he finally did it this year. So that was awesome. So props to you, man. That was a big accomplishment.
Congratulations.
Yeah, he's a ninja, and. Kanan, man, that guy can freaking. We went down to Key West, and we're throwing soft plug or soft lures and soft plastics and at barracuda and anything that would bite really. And man, after like 4 hours of doing that, my arms are fried. And Kanan's just like just doesn't stop. I'm like, that kid's a freaking machine. I'm like. I don't want to do this. Can we use live bait like we do up north? This
lazy
sucks. But no, those guys are great to fish with because you got guys with different levels of experience or different points of view. Justin's big into ice fishing and freshwater and stuff like that.
Yeah, that's the one thing about being a charter captain. Up here, sometimes you just kind of get in your rhythm of what you do. But when you see people that come with these different fisheries, I have a lot of professional bass tour anglers come on my boat. I got a lot of guys from people who fish out in the Great Lakes for walleye and things like that. So it's always cool hearing their perspective and seeing them fish and how they move around the boat and things like that.
As long as they get the open mind to what you're doing here.
That's true, too.
Because, I don't want to go walleye fishing out in Michigan and think that I know what I'm doing.
Yeah, I just sit there and hang out.
You tell me what I'm supposed to do.
Yeah. No, they're definitely pretty good about it. Especially the better the fishermen they are, the more they just kind of listen and do and figure it out,
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah, so... that's been good. So we got the Haddock coming up April 1st. We'll be, running off offshore right away. I'm hoping some of the closer spots are working. Typically, some of the closer spots take a little while to mature into good spots. We'll see those closer spots sometimes be better in like later April, early May versus right off the bat.
Yeah, I always feel like right off the bat, the only people I talk to about haddock fishing are you, really.
Yeah, no one wants to talk.
We all go at the same time. We all go kind of at the same time.
Yeah.
So, I always find, the beginning of the year, true opening day, April 1st, it's always a little bit tougher. Even that when we were working on the party boat seemed like right away. I mean, it was good, but it wasn't lock and load until mid-April.
You're going out and you're like, I kind of just know where I should go.
Yeah.
You know where the fleet's going to probably be. And it's like, do I stop, halfway or go here or go down south and try those spots down and off of, Cape Ann? It's like, I just want to go.
Yeah, sometimes it's like you just want to go. And just...
Well, then you're trying out your boat. You want to make sure everything sounds right.
Yeah.
Everything's mechanically right. Like our first trip is we know something could happen.
Exactly.
So you got to be prepared for that too. Like, obviously you do your right maintenance and stuff like that. It shouldn't be an issue, but hey guys, everybody have your eyes and ears on in that first half an hour while we're riding out.
It always seems like too, like every year, we'll take a trip on your boat, then we'll take a trip on my boat, and we kind of just like all go in each other's boats just in case something happens.
Yep.
To keep an eye out. Listen, like you said, every time it doesn't matter. I feel like I put my boat in the water the first time and I'm like cruising under the bridge from Cashman's. I'm like, does that sound weird to you?
Yep.
Like it doesn't, no matter what.
Yeah, and it's just one of those things, it's you're driving the boat. Someone can, open up your bilge, make sure everything's working, test your, you should have already tested it, before you even put it in the water. But, let's actually run the bilge. Let's run the wash down hose. Let's, see what's going on.
See if there's any hidden gremlins.
Yeah, you just don't want to get it when you're 25 miles offshore.
Correct.
That's terrible.
Yeah.
But, and then it's, obviously the guys that go offshore a lot, we talk a lot about conditions because, a guy with a 44-foot, 17-foot beam boat, he can go through pretty much, whatever he wants. But I'm not going to be anywhere near some of the stuff that he's doing, especially with customers. Because I don't want to be out there, them throwing up, which last year was gross.
You had a bad day.
A bad year with people puking. Oh, my God. It was just a fucking shit show with vomit.
At least get it out of the boat.
There was an incident a couple of years back that I'll guess I'll tell you guys about.
Yeah,
please do.
So it was a bachelor party. It was all these cops, and they had a good night the night before. And the brother-in-law or future brother-in-law, I think he partook into a different type of substance the night before, and probably in the parking lot. So he's out there and he catches the first shark and he's literally reeling and throwing up over the reel. And I'm like, fucking reel, you can do it. You can do it. He's like, Captain John, this. So finally we get the shark. We're like, high five. He's like, I'm going to go up on the bow of the boat and die. So he's up on the bow of the boat. I can hear him hurling. He's calling dinosaurs up there. The whales are barking at him. He's just like, he's miserable. All of a sudden, like a half an hour later, he goes, hey, Captain John, I got an issue up here. And I go, what's up, buddy? You need water or anything like that? And he goes, I backfired. I'm like, what? Oh, fuck. You shit your pants? And he goes, yeah, I didn't mean to. I go, well, no one fucking means to. He goes, and then he goes, well, what do I do? I'm like, dude, I'm a fucking charter boat captain. I'm not a doctor. You need help. Like, you're fucked up. I was like, here's my, like, I had this rusty old, like, tetanus shot of a knife.
And you hit him with a wash down.
And he goes, what do I do with that? I'm like, cut your underwear off. And he goes, well, what do you want me? I don't fucking want him. Feed him to the seagulls. I don't give a shit. Jesus Christ, man. And he's sitting there. He's like, I'm really sorry. Literally, I turn around and all the guys are filming him wiping his ass through my my pilot house glass. It's the scene. So there's a picture of me like going like this, handing him the knife, and there's his naked shitty ass. That was when I called Peter Murray. I go, hey Pete, you've been doing this for a while. You ever have anything like that happen on a charter? He goes, no, John. That's really fucked up.
He's been doing it for 40 years.
So that was I think one of my first or second years out there, and the guy pooped his pants. He went doo-doos. He had doo-doo butter.
Well, you also have the curse. It's a blessing and a curse that you have a head on your boat, right?
Yes.
So, like, you talk to people who go on boats and what the rules are for the head, because that's probably the main thing that breaks more than anything. Yeah. You got to deal with that.
Yeah. So, I mean, the maintenance on the head and stuff like that, it's, obviously sanitation, stuff like that. Keep it right. We're all fishermen, guys have 360-degree pissability. It's the ladies, or older people that, don't feel comfortable. I find like a big Folgers plastic coffee jug thing is much easier for a guy to just piss in and then whip it over the side versus pissing all over my gunnels, and then I got to grab the hose.
Yeah.
Some of us can't reach over the gunnel.
Yeah, I'd want to. Just the water's cold, so
Yeah. I don't want to change the salinity.
It's a Johnny V joke. I love it.
I don't want to change the salinity of the water. And you can catch crabs that way.
Yeah, you can. You got to be careful.
Yeah. So, anyways, but no, the bathroom thing. It's like it always seems to. It's a fan favorite that like some people book me just because their girlfriend's coming or whatever. They got little kids, and it's there.
Yeah.
It's there.
What's up with that though? It's just like I don't know. You're 4 hours on a boat, and like you need to have a bathroom.
I probably have one woman a year who comes on the boat that like really has to go, and quite honestly, they're just like, oh, we'll just go in the bucket over there, and it's fine.
Yeah, I think.
Oh, you don't accommodate them with I at least have the toilet seat that goes on the bucket.
Yeah, that's what I meant. Yeah, I got that too.
Yeah, I mean, I think it's just the privacy of it, and but it's always. I'm telling you, it's like we're out catching mackerel. It's flat, calm. It's easy to, it's like, hey, anybody got to go to the bathroom? No. We get in the mouth of the Merrimack. You're getting the shit kicked out. There's 30 boats driving around. It's like, I gotta go poopy.
Halfway through your drift.
Yeah.
fucking 4 guys hooked up, boats everywhere. Weekend. I gotta go to the bathroom.
Yeah. And you'll see me drift.
Hold it. I can't.
It's number 2, Cap.
Yeah.
Number 2.
You'll see me drift. I'm like out in like Ireland, basically. I'm so far away from the fleet because I've drifted like a mile beyond where I would have turned around because someone had to go tinkles. And then they're like, dilly-dallying around. Then someone breaks out, like, let's make sandwiches. And I'm like, let's make sandwiches earlier. Let's go.
Dude, my second charter ever. My second one ever. I took this guy and like I think his 2 daughters and son or something. There was like 3 of them. And we went out to get our mackerel, and one of the girls, she was like 12, started getting seasick. And I'm like, oh, it's a 6-hour trip. This is my second charter. I don't want to go in. What do I do? And he was like, hey, Cap, is there a place that we can take her? I'm like, well, we can come back inside and I can drop you guys off at Captain's fishing parties to use the bathrooms, get your bearings straight. And then, don't worry about the time. We'll get back out whenever she's ready. He goes, yeah, that sounds great. So we pull up to the dock. People don't do this. We know the Charleses. We check with them first. Yes. This is not like a typical thing. So I just want to put that out there.
Yeah, don't stop there.
So I pull up. We get there. The girl gets out. The dad goes, now, mind you, she's 11, 12 years old, like wearing a life jacket. He goes, all right, honey, have fun at the beach. We'll see you in 5 hours. I'm not even joking. I'm like, really? He's like, yeah, Capt, let's go.
Wow. Well, I did have a buddy.
Then we went back. She came off the beach. He whistles her in like a dog, dude. She's still walking down.
He's like, it's the family whistle.
I couldn't believe it. I'm just like, this is what I'm getting myself into. This is my career.
I do have a family call for me and Julia. It's just caca.
She has to use the bathroom.
No. Just like if I'm like, hey, Julia, caca.
Oh, that me and my roommate in college actually had that same exact one. If we got lost at Walmart, we go caca, so we could find each other. We didn't want to get lost.
I was in Disney 2 weeks ago, and man, I'm glad I got a great kid. There's some real shitty kids in this world. Parents, do a better job. You fucking suck. Your kids suck. They're awful human beings. They're not going to be productive. You're all doing fucking shit. It's awful. It's fucking terrible. I want. I'm gonna just hold my fucking breath. Fuck you, Dad. Fucking kids suck. I don't want to go on the fucking Dumbo ride. I'm like, go on the fucking Dumbo ride. Then they get on. I'm like, it does suck. You were right.
Make me a bicycle clown.
Kids are just, fucking every kid's on like a leash. I'm like, what the fuck is wrong with these parents?
Dude, were there kids with leash? I bet they were in Florida.
They should have been on tasers. Just fucking light them up. These kids are fucking awful.
Shock collars.
Julia like still says please and thank you and like, doesn't have a fucking hissy fit.
I tell you, she is, how old is she now, like 7?
She'll be 8 in November.
8, yeah, dude, she's a great kid. She's always so polite.
Very blessed.
She calls me Ducky.
Yeah.
I don't really know how that started, but
well, actually his boat. So
the rubber ducky.
We were talking about, naming your boat, and I don't know, the name Rubber Ducky came up because you were buying a yellow boat.
Yeah.
So I think she was either like listening or whatever, and she's like Ducky, and then all of a sudden,
I'm so happy it's my boat, but you got the name.
Yeah. But no.
Well, we were probably on Bluetooth, and I probably said the F word so many. Dude, John, I'm so sorry, John. I'm polluting your kid.
I have no idea how you're a teacher of youth.
I can't figure, dude. I'm telling you, school starts, the captain most shuts off. It shuts off.
I'm like,
I don't want to get sued.
This is exactly how it goes. Hey, Chris, Julia's in the car. So I go, like, now it's not. I go, yeah, Julie's in the car. Don't worry, you're not on speak. I can't even give you a chance anymore.
It's bad.
Yeah,
it's bad.
He's on double secret probation. I'm like, Julia, say hi to Capt and Chris. All right, make it short. Make it short. He might just be like, "Hey, what the fuck's up?" I'm like, Chris.
That's great.
It's bad, yeah. So, but then like now she's learned the word because sadly she's heard it a few times in her encounters in life. She goes, "Dad, he said, fuck," and he said. I go, okay, well, that's a bad word. Yeah, I'm never going to say that. He actually said, shut the fuck up. And I'm like, all right, now you've said it twice.
It's like, hey, Mr. Parkhurst, we're just calling to tell you that Julia used the fuck word in class today.
No, that's the great thing about her is that
school.
she would never. And like, oh my God, I was so... You know, obviously, when you have a kid, it's just they are going to encounter some things that you don't want them to, but that's life. But yeah, I try to get her to avoid those damn rough kids. You know, ones with the leather jackets, always snapping.
Marlboros in their shirt pockets.
Just burning cigarettes into their arm. Fucking the greasers.
The greasers.
The Catholic school greasers. She goes to a private Catholic school. That they still are. Those kids can suck too.
Oh man!
But yeah,
this took a weird turn.
yeah, we're going down that line. But no,
Is she into fishing?
Yeah,
she's on the boat, always helping you out.
Yeah, that's the best thing is like getting to see how she reacts to the stuff that I love. That has been so fun, and she's digging it. She's excited about the fishing season. You know, I'm sending her pictures of me working on the boat when she's with her mom, and then she'll come back and she'll help me. She's like, she'll grab the brush and act like she's cleaning, or like she's a gopher too, like, hey, go for the paper towels, go for this, go for that, so she's interested in it. She likes it. She gets excited, but man, she loves mackerel fishing. Isla Shoals is like, man, it's just like the perfect place to bring a kid to go mackerel fishing,
isn't it?
It's just
the scenery,
beautiful.
everything.
I mean, it looks like a freaking screensaver.
It looks like Disneyland.
Dude, I had some of the best days of my life with the family out there last year.
Yep.
It's awesome. We actually swam over to Smutty Nose.
Yeah.
And then, like, if you've never been to Smutty Nose Island, it's a highly recommend. You see the graves of the Spanish sailors.
Yep.
And there's
really cool.
Oh, yeah.
I've never done that.
And then there's like a trail that goes all through it, and then you go to the what I think is like the northeast. It's like the northeast side, and you're like, oh my God, the fishing must be amazing over here.
Dude, that's like my invisible line. Like, I've never been past there on my boat. Like, I go up to like the northern side of the Isles of Shoals. I don't think I've ever been past it.
Oh, I've gone to Boone.
Oh, I haven't gone to Boone on my boat. I've been to Boone, but just not on my boat.
Yeah, it is kind of like, I mean, obviously there's a threshold, unless you're going to trailer your boat to a different location. But like out of the Merrimack, it's been like pretty much Boone to, around Cape Ann into Gloucester and stuff like that.
I've taken my boat to the golf ball from Newburyport.
Actually, where the hell did I go last year? I went and it was like the worst, and you were like worried about it, and it really sucked.
I remember we were on, you went out. I had a day off or something. All right, was an off.
Wildcat.
You went to Wildcat.
Holy
I'm like, dude, you okay?
Yeah, I got my dick kicked in that.
I remember that.
Oh, that sucked. And it was like flat calm in the morning. I was like, oh, this is gonna be great. We were doing like 30 knots out. I was like, we went out to Jeffrey's at first. We were chasing all kinds of cool stuff. We had like the biggest epic dolphin blitz I have ever seen.
Yep.
And I mean, there must have been, I don't know, freaking like 400 or 500 of these things, and it looked like tuna crashing way off in the distance. So we're all excited. We're charging over there. We're like, we gotta get him. We gotta get him. And then we get up there, like fucking flipper,
right?
It's
so disappointing. The dolphin fake out.
And then we're like, there's got to be tuna underneath them. So then we trolled around for an hour, and as we're trolling, I'm like, yeah, it's getting a little rougher out here. I'm like, whatever.
Let's go another 20 miles.
So then I'm like, let's go freaking 25 miles south to get to Wildcat. And when we got probably 4 miles from it, and I just go, all right, we're in like true sixes. This sucks. We are not even going to be able to troll. Like, this is awful. And it's just me and this kid, Kurt. And I'm like, Kurt, let's go back. It took us, I think, probably 2.5 hours to 3 hours to get back from Wildcat. And it was awful because you know how it is around Halibut Point.
Oh, getting around the corner sometimes,
and
man, that could be.
And you're the only
bad.
one out there. I'm like, that's a bad
Yeah,
sign.
when you're out Wildcat, like you don't expect to see a lot of boats out there.
Yeah, it's spooky. You know, those are those things where you're like, okay, you know, you challenge yourself every year as an angler or at least, you know, an operator of the boat. Like, I want to get to someplace, you know, like Fipponese is like one of those ones I want to get to on my boat this year. Like,
Fallon's going.
yeah. So like those are the types of spots where you just like in your mind, you're like, I want to get to here. I want to go to, you know, this spot, that spot. And you try to find those perfect days. That was on paper supposed to be flat calm until 5 o'clock in the afternoon.
Yeah.
And it picked up around 11.
We went out one time to Wildcat. It was me, my dad, and Justin Oser, I believe. Was it Justin? Yeah, anyways. And beautiful ride out there. We get there. Once you hit that 600 line, first of all, it's magical out there.
Yes.
Like, I feel like there's going to be unicorns jumping out of the water, farting rainbows.
Yeah.
Like, there's something about it. It's so fishy feeling. And I've caught a couple football tunas out there. I've always wanted to shark out there. We actually had a mako come up on a spreader bar when we were trolling for tuna while we were out there. And actually, I think it was that day. Might have been me and Pat. No, I don't know who it was. Anyway, so we get out there, and like you said, all of a sudden, it's like 5-6 cresting footers. I'm like, dude, I was in my Parker, and that's not a good ride in that. I'm like, dude, we're going to have a long ride back. And then I start thinking about going around Cape Ann. So I'm like, all right, let's just shoot inside, and we'll cut the trip in half. We'll go through the Annisquam, whatever. It might take a little bit while. So we come west. As we're going into Stellwagen, it's a milk pond. It is. You could see the green shit, what's it called? The stuff that makes you sneeze. The pollen.
Oh, pollen.
Yeah, you can see the pollen
Yeah.
on Stellwagen. It was so crystal clear,
wow.
so flat. I couldn't believe it was the same day, just in a matter of like 10, 15 miles.
Yep.
Completely different environment. And then it was like too calm. There was a fucking 1,000 boats out there too.
Yeah, we had a couple days there with like, you know, we were, you know, coming back from the park or whatever, and man, that's Southern Jetty coming through that. You know, in any boat really south of 26, 25 footer, it's, you know, you start looking at the 30-foot boat or better. I'm sure that they can handle it a little bit easier, but man, there was some Southern Jetty more, and then like once you get out of it, it's fine.
Yeah.
But man, going through it's like, holy shit! You're just looking at these waves. It's like, you know, ranch houses going by you, and you're like, okay.
And then even on the backside of it, if you're towards low tide, it's like 2 feet deep there now.
Yeah, and that's, you know, that's some of the stuff that I think that they're working on with dredging and.
I don't know. It doesn't sound like that one too well.
Oh, it didn't.
Yeah, they had to end it. They had to leave to go get new equipment, and now I think they just got back this week because they're in contract. They have to get it done by a certain time.
Wow.
I think they're going to be dredging all the way till like April 30th. So I wonder what transiting out like.
Well, I'll just hang to the north.
Well, yeah, obviously, but they started out real deep. They started like into the river. They started up by CFP.
Oh, really?
Yeah, like in the fall, right? That's when
Yeah,
they
were by the toothpick, really.
Yeah.
Yeah. You know, the other thing I've been noticing, a lot more seals, lot more sharks inside, which obviously are chasing the seals. We had a lot of decent sized mako sightings and like, you know, runoffs with striper, you know, fishing with mackerel, pogey, or whatever. The pogies were kind of not that great this year in like the Plum Island area.
No, they weren't.
They skipped us sort of, and you know, from what I
Real
was
quick
told,
season.
the guys up in Portsmouth were having a field day.
Yeah.
So, you know, who knows? That's the roll of the dice. You don't know if they're gonna like. We could have walked across them in front of Salisbury
For years.
For what, 3 years in a row?
Oh, 5.
Yeah, and then they kind of like were a little bit more spotty, which I kind of like that.
I like it better when there's less of them.
Yeah, I like smaller pods, like maybe the size of like, you know,
This road.
like 20 by 20 or something like that pod.
Something where I can get 3 guys to cast into it and snag one before they're gone.
Yeah,
sure.
especially because you could just kind of go watch them, and that's that hunting part of
Correct.
You know, using pogies. But yeah, we'll see. You know, regulations and stuff like that with the mackerel. It's a pretty frustrating thing to consider again, that we're being hell bent with our bait. It's going to be tricky. We're going to have to work within the grounds of the rules. It's just you gotta, I don't know, bring frozen clams or something as a backup. Or
I was thinking about it the other day. Anybody can have their commercial permit and catch as many mackerel as they want.
Yes.
Whether you're a commercial fisherman or recreational fisherman. But as a charter captain, we're the only ones that are like blocked out from.
No, well, here's the deal. This was explained to me.
Okay.
When you have the mackerel endorsement, right, you can't just keep as many mackerel as you want, because if you were, you can technically, but that would be considered a commercial fishing day, so you wouldn't be able to keep a slot-sized bass.
Yes.
Oh, really?
Yeah, because that's what they're like. They consider, like, you can't go out fishing commercially for mackerel and then recreational for stripers, right? Like, a calm day is a calm day.
Got you. So if I'm going by myself, I'm a wreck angler. Okay.
Yeah.
And I want to just go striper fishing for myself for fun. And I catch 50 mackerel when the limit's 20, but I have my commercial mackerel permit. I cannot keep a striper and be in compliance.
Correct.
Well, so what I understood was that you can. This is what was kind of talked about at the beginning. So if I'm a charter boat captain, which I guess I am,
on paper,
only. If I know I have 4 customers coming on the boat at 7 a.m. or whatever, and I want to get out there at 5 a.m. to catch mackerel, so I have 100 mackerel I can catch, including myself. So I catch my 100 mackerel, I keep them alive, and I bring them back to Cashman, pick up my customers. I was under the understanding that my commercial trip has ended. Now I can pick up my customers.
Correct.
And I can go out with those 100 mackerel.
Correct.
Yeah.
Because then you have 5 people at 20 apiece.
Correct.
So you're good.
Yes.
But if you say you caught 150 and then you brought
No.
those guys,
Yeah.
then, I mean, I'm just throwing a number out
Yeah.
there, then you're over compliance.
I'm just going to be interested in, obviously, if everybody's playing underneath those rules and regulations and stuff like that, how do they regulate it? Like, are they going to come in and molest our bait?
It's physically impossible, honestly, especially if you have a live fish and a bait. Like, they would literally have to pull every single one of them out. You can't just sit there and point and count at them. They're swimming around in a circle.
1, 2, 3, shit. 1,
Yeah,
2, 3,
yeah, exactly. Yeah.
Stand still.
I can't even count to 100.
And not to mention, from a law enforcement perspective, regardless, there's just not enough EPOs. Like,
No,
in general,
there's not.
So.
And honestly, there's bigger things to target that we're seeing, for infractions on the water.
Absolutely. And I think, honestly, like, poaching from shore is probably one of the biggest ones.
Yeah, and that's what we're seeing, down on, the canal and stuff like that. You see these pictures show up on the EPO page, which you're like, yes, they finally got one. And the guy's got 20 little baby bass, and you're like, what the hell? And he's, they go down there and they do some spot checks. I know, up by the dam, I guess they're going pretty hard at those guys too.
Oh yeah, they might have to. The other thing too that I was talking to someone and they brought up a great point. Like, the commercial fishing days, Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday.
Yeah.
Like, there are plenty of permit holders that will catch their limit on Sunday night.
100%.
They'll sell it at right at midnight or 12:01, going into the Monday, and then they'll go out. They'll catch another limit. They'll go to another buyer. They'll sell their fish again. Like, there are people that are doing that.
That should not be a consecutive day fishery.
No, it should not be a consecutive day fishery, because that's what you need to eliminate.
Yeah, I mean, I actually like the slot fish thing because there was so many people holding fish over days. You would see them in the at the bait shops where they buy striper. These fish are all smoked
red.
up.
They're about as red.
Yeah,
pasty
their
as
eyes
you.
are all white. Look at me, tinge of the ginge. But
When you come up with these,
yeah, that's why people book me. They they don't ever catch anything. They just laugh their balls off. Just make fun of myself. I'm just walking. Am I a clown? Am I here to amuse you? But no, the reality is that, back in the day when they had you could keep a fish over the 35, there was so many fish that were being kept, a day or two before the open day.
Yeah.
And you would see it. And that was frustrating, and that to me is no different than someone shooting a deer under flashlights in the middle of the night.
Yeah, absolutely.
That's cheating. That's a big time cheat. There's a couple things, you see, okay, so let's get into ethics and stuff like that. So you're chartering, all right, and your customers are catching fish, okay? Do you allow that person to keep that one fish, but then let's just say he catches another keeper? Is that person's keeper? It's so those are those ethics things. I've hunted and fished as a family, so and it's the duck thing too. You think about duck hunting, it's okay, well, you got to shoot your ducks. It's not a group thing. It's you got to shoot your ducks, and that's a tricky thing that I don't think a lot of people understand. It. They think it's the boat limit. it's supposed to be the individual angler.
The way
limit.
the law reads, it's one set of fillets per person.
Yes.
So, like, when you're walking off the dock, each person has to be in possession of one set of fillets.
But that's the thing, that some of them are a little bit, there's that gray area that I don't know if they've been clarified with what species and stuff like that. I was having a conversation with someone, I'm like, oh, I don't know. And I'm like, that's a good question to bring up. Like, and, you know, if we ever, you know, get an EPO or whatever on, that would be some of those questions that I'd love to ask, like, about that. Because I just felt like it, maybe it's vague, maybe I'm totally off, and maybe this person just put the bug in my head to kind of, you know, like, oh, that is a good question. But I've always thought it was like, it's the boat.
I'm starting to think, I really honestly can't remember and don't know the answer to this, but like on a party boat situation, at least on charters, most of the time the people are together. So they do kind of like, you know, if I catch 2 slots, one's our group and give it to you, it's yours. But like on a party boat, what if I'm a lone angler and I catch like 3 keepers one day? Do we keep those other 2 keepers and just give them to other people on the boat? Well, like, I can't remember. I
that's
don't think we ever caught 3 keepers.
But I mean, I remember as a kid, whatever the limits were, it was like, okay, well, if like they got a little kid that wasn't catching much, they wanted to make sure everybody went home with their limit.
Well, the limit back then when I was working there was 2 at 28.
2 at 28.
Yeah.
Well, for striper.
Yeah.
But I'm talking about for offshore stuff like haddock.
Gotcha. Yeah.
So like whenever we had like the 3 haddock or whatever.
Oh yeah, remember that?
Yeah, that sucked. But like
that's like a joke on the boat too. It's like, oh, that one's mine.
Yeah, exactly. So like you're sitting there and you know, you're going on these head boats. It's like, well, some guy's a stud up on the thing. He could sling over 8, you know, keeper haddock in a very short period of time, like those 4-hour trips or whatever.
Yeah.
It would be interesting to know, like, is he able to gift those to other people? And then that's like that gray area. Like, okay, it's the limit of each person is being recognized, but that individual person did not catch it unless he handed that person the rod. Like I've seen, like on even Wicked Tutor, remember they put the rod on a float and they sent it out into like they threw the rod over. I think it was TJ. He threw the rod overboard, and like I think it was Marciano came over and picked up the rod and fought the fish, and they killed that fish. And I'm like, is that legal? Like I guess it is because he did catch it, you know, but he had a double on, you know. So that's interesting too. It's like those types of gray areas is like, is that skirting the rules or is that staying within compliance? And I feel like there's so many rules. There's so many regulations. It's
just so hard to keep track of now.
So hard to keep.
And they're changing year to year. Yes. And it's just, yeah, it's always tough to stay on top of it.
Yeah, the mackerel thing's going to be a big pain in the ass. But, you know, we always find ways to work around. You know, the soft plastic bite last year was fun. We had a ball. Early season, we were
it was great.
Beautiful striper,
beautiful fish.
In like May 20th, May 25th,
early,
it
before Memorial Day,
and it was just a ball. They were huge,
yeah.
So we were having a good time with that. So that's something that you got to add into your arsenal. I love live bait fishing because it's easy. You know,
to be consistently successful for anybody, live bait fishing is definitely the way to go. You know?
And then I love the variety of going from striper or from haddock to striper, back to haddock to sharks, to maybe a little bit of tuna, back to haddock and stuff like that. Maybe cod if it's not a hurricane every day.
I actually just at the Plum Island Surfcaster show this weekend, I did a presentation on seasonal striper strategies. Right?
Oh yeah.
And as I was like building it, I'm like, you know what, dude, stripers are really cool around here because we really do have like 7 different seasons, like different ways to fish for them. So at least you're not doing the same thing over and over. You know, you get different classes of fish, different areas, different styles, whether you're, casting lures, whether you're getting schoolies or big fish, or you're trolling or you're chumming or you're chunking. There's a lot of different ways to catch them, and at least keeps you on your toes and keeps it interesting.
Absolutely. Man, I saw a lot more last year was people trolling again.
Yeah, trolling lures like niner rigs and stuff like that. Yeah.
And it was working.
Do you see those Boston Massacre ones?
Yeah.
Those look pretty cool.
But I mean,
that's not my style, but they look like...
The bluefish were a little quicker this year. I think they were here and they were kind of like gone.
Oh, no, I thought this year was a pretty solid bluefish compared to last year. Last year it was annoying because they were moving around everywhere. This year they were at least like staying somewhat put.
See, I got into them.
You were offshore a lot that time of year.
I was offshore that time of year, so I kind of came back to it. And Man, we had one day that was like fun where it was like the trolling in like 60 feet of water kind of day.
Yeah.
And we were just lighting it up, like everything they ate. And they just destroy all your gear. It was a blast.
Dude, best part when you mark all those fish, you're like, all right, guys, 3, 2, 1, boom,
Bam.
boom, boom, boom. Dude, did I ever tell you this? I had this one guy at a one-person charter I didn't know, right? It was an afternoon trip. We just hammered bluefish in the morning. We caught like 25 or 30. Yeah. And all of a sudden, this guy's coming down, older gentleman, like retired but back at work, like finishing up. He's here on a he was here on a work trip actually. He was like an advisory type of role now for a company. He's like, yeah, I just wanted to go fishing. I'm like, all right, man. Hope your arms are good. And we went out there, and after like his 12th bluefish, I got to fish, you know.
Yeah.
And then we were just like, yeah, you want to go try to get some bass? I never caught a striper before. Let's go. So. You know, at that point, stripers have been kind of weird. I hadn't really been targeting them. Well, in the mornings I was, but I do the stripers for a little bit, get our limit, and come out and do bluefish. But I hadn't really fished the afternoon for about a week or two for stripers. And, yeah, we got a few fish, got them a keeper to take home. It was a lot of fun. But, man, that poor guy, he was exhausted reeling in those bluefish. Getting doubles. I had to reel one in. He had to reel one in.
See, I thought like it was like 2 or 3 years ago, there was like a big school of bluefish in the Parker. And
yes.
And I was catching them on live bait. It was just you had to be fast. Like
yeah.
you know, we were like I felt like one of those the tuna boats where they're flinging them right into the back of the boat. And they were nice. They were nice size. They were 25-inch class.
Yeah.
And with maybe occasionally in them 28 to 30, but most of them were. Yeah. But at trolling out front, they were big, big 34, 36-inch bluefish, and they were hungry and they were aggressive.
I was using my Haddock rods to troll those Rapalas and stuff.
Yeah, I had some Chaos rods from back in the day. Those things are like broom handles, and they're perfect for that.
Correct.
Yeah, I use the 30-60 rods, and then I also
those are perfect trolling bluefish rods.
They are perfect trolling bluefish rods because it's nice. Like with the X wraps, you get like it's like a big chug, you know.
Yeah.
Full.
I got
I think I definitely want to go to single hooks this year though.
I am totally because they kind of came in and I got all my Rapalas like ready to go, and then just like I don't know what happened, dude. Like we lost like 4 plugs like the first couple of days because the snap broke.
Oh,
like I don't know why. I normally don't. Like I normally would run like 130-pound mono and kind of just crimp it on.
Yeah.
Okay. But for some reason, I just didn't. I got like some of those steel leaders just because I didn't have the mono. You know what I mean? It was just spur of the moment.
Yeah.
And then those clips kept opening, so I kept losing Rapalas. So I was basically going to every store around here and buying them all off the shelves.
The Berkeley leader, like the wire leader, like terrible.
Terrible.
What a terrible product. Oh my God.
Yeah, the pre-made ones.
Yeah,
that's junk. I definitely agree.
I actually pre-made a bunch of steel this year with my haywire twist tool to be ready, but I think I'm just going to go back to like 100-pound monos, just strip it off.
Yeah, that's it. It's thick enough, right?
Yeah. But single hooks for sure.
But so another setup though, so like the 30-60 rods are awesome for bluefish. They're awesome for a lot of applications.
I just bought
you just bought them from Ledge Life, right?
Yeah. So Joe
it's such a
Letourneau
universal
and Harry,
rod. It's like unbelievably
They're building
awesome.
me 4 of the 30-60 6.5 footer acid wrap.
Yep. Is yours 6.5?
Yep, that's what
Ooh, I'll show you my striper rod they just built for me. They just built me a set. I picked them up last week.
Yeah, and those guys,
one of them's here.
Big props to them. They do great work. I was checking out all their stuff.
Have it.
Yeah.
Their stuff is really good. Really
They're doing
good.
a great job.
They're
doing a great job.
Hard-working blue-collar guys slinging rods. They're not shit.
Custom rods at an affordable price, which is great.
Yeah, and they're using them. Their company started because they couldn't find rods that they liked. Commercial fishing for a groundfish.
That's the thing is you think about the abuse that those rods take, doing commercial rod and reel, bringing up 2 pollock at a time, flicking it right onto the deck, no problem. Like I got all those Jigging World rods.
Beautiful light rods.
Light rods, but my customers don't understand on a light rod like that, you got to reach down and grab the leader. And they're high sticking them, and they crack it, 16 to 18 inches from the tip, and that's a $200 mistake, And some of the Jigging World stuff they would cover, but like after you broke them 5-6 times, they kind of like, oh, you're doing something wrong. It's like I'm not, my customers are.
Yeah.
The best was the guy that high hooked without the thing set, and he broke 2 because he hit the one up with a rocket launcher too. And I was like, fuck, dude. He's like, sorry, here's $100 tip. I'm like, yeah, you're $300 away.
Yeah, no kidding.
But yeah, I mean, that's the nature of, being a charter boat guy. You gotta, it's like, yeah, you want to just either buy shit, which some of the shit's not bad. Like, you can buy ugly stick stuff, and that's good rods. Like, they're cheap and they're built like you can beat the crap out of them.
Those are what I use for my charter, because I don't do too many Haddock trips. I'm not really. It's Haddock. You don't have to be dialed in for like awesome gear.
Dude, this
for
is
Haddock.
a profession.
I spend it in the reel.
I'm a professional Haddock fisher.
But those, ugly sticks are freaking great. And like Dan was just about going talking about Harry's 30 to 60 rod. Harry and Joe's rod, how versatile it is, right?
Oh yeah. So started off using it for Haddock.
Yeah.
You can put like anywhere. You can put 3 dropper loops, 4, even.
So
5.
did you try it last year?
Yeah.
Oh,
he bought them last year.
Yep.
Nice.
And then because we were using them to catch bait too for shark fishing.
Yep.
Brought them out, had the torium on there, and then I did catch a shark on one too.
Yeah.
So caught a shark on one, and then used them for trolling bluefish, and then started using them to troll X-Wraps for tuna.
Yeah.
And then this year, the goal is I think I want to put daisy chains on it and use it to try to, commercial bass fish and or tuna fish.
Yeah.
I want to catch a tuna on one this year. That's like a goal.
The great commercial bass rods too, because they're just beefy. You just flip
Yeah,
fucking things onto the deck.
You see the reels that he's typically putting on them? He's putting those Senator, they're the Bajas, but they're the narrow, the 113 narrow.
Oh.
Yeah, I actually went to
But
a
they're
shop.
American made. Yeah.
They're I think they're called the U.S. 10 U.S. Senator now. Actually, because I went to go pick up my rods from his shop the other day, and he had all the shit in the garage. And you know what? I'm surprised. I thought they would be big and clunky, but no, they're nice. They're nice and narrow. They're solid reels.
But
but the gear ratio. He kept saying the gear ratio, and we beat the shit out of them.
Yeah, and that's the thing is like, so I mean, I love the lightness, and for me personally, it's just like comfortable.
Yeah,
it's comfortable with the PGs, the Torium.
The Torium's
Yeah, the
great.
Torium PGs.
Those would be the only 2 reels I would get for Haddock right now. The Torium
those.
PG and the U.S. Senator.
Yeah.
That's exactly what I have on the 3060s, but I have the Japanese ones, the 2000s.
Okay.
2000 PG.
The Sigler LGN is probably a really good Haddock reel too. Even though it's a lever drag, you get the LG. I'm thinking more of the LG.
Oh, the LGN. No, the LGN would be.
Yeah.
But I honestly think you could just use a regular Sigler. It's almost the same.
Yeah.
If you do the long crank arm.
Yeah. My Sigler SG definitely has the power, but it's got a small spool and it's a little too slow.
Yeah, but
it's
when
like
you
38
have
inches.
The longer crank arm though, it
True.
definitely like torques it up and it works.
Yeah, it seems like a lot of people are starting to step away from Avid, just for like mechanical issues and stuff like that. So I've been hearing for years that they, you got to replace certain parts of it.
Yeah, I just picked up. So I have an Avid SX.
Yeah.
And then I have the. I just got the HXJ.
Yeah.
Because I want to use it for jig and tuna, and it's the Raptor.
Yeah.
And it holds 40 pounds of drag, which is crazy.
Yeah.
And it's on a Zach's custom jig and rod.
I think it's
and
like all
super
about
light.
maintenance on it.
Yeah.
Like, if you stay up with the maintenance, I think it's one of those reels that you can enjoy and it's going to last. But it's like, the guys on the West Coast that I know that do a lot of like, they run around running and gunning for tuna, yellowfin and bluefin, and they're using those flat irons.
Surface irons.
And the surface irons. And they're pitching these things like country mile, and
they actually cast the
rods.
casting.
Yeah. And they were like, man, you go on a headboat, it was like all Avid, and now they've switched back to Shimano mostly. So
No, that's too bad. So I did. There was
and
something.
they're in California.
Avid has great customer service. They are in California. I told the guy Scott that was out there. Like I had a bunch of questions. He helped me out a lot. And just the customer service though, like Avid is a great company.
Yeah,
it really is.
So that's the thing is like, as you guys can hear, like some guys have had bad experiences, some guys have had good experiences. It's
how do they take care of you?
You know what the sad thing is you just got to spend your money and try.
Yeah, exactly.
It's just
See
like
what works for you.
Process of elimination.
Thunnis. I was talking to a guy about Thunnis the other day, and he was like, "I got 5 of them. They work great and no problems." And he's beating them up too. And I'm like, "Just luck of the draw." I don't know if it was like I had a bad day when I bought mine. But yeah, I've been frustrated with that reel. But then I'm gonna probably continue to buy a Shimano bait runner because
just take care of you.
That's what I want to have.
Yeah, no, I think unfortunately too. Like my favorite type of striper reel was like a small metal frame lever drag, and those just seem inherently the ones that kind of have the most mechanical issues when it comes to that style. Between the Yvette's, Recycler's pretty good. You do have to baby it though. You do have to like make sure like you're taking care of the bearings. You know, that was kind of like the biggest issue. Nothing bad, but it just gets a little grindy.
Do you think there's a difference between? I personally don't have a lot of like, oh, that's my own personal rod and reel. Like my stuff is what I use on the boat.
Yeah, the only thing charter wise right now that's going to be my personal rod is my Trank that's coming in soon. My freshwater style bait runner, bait caster.
Okay.
I mean, other than that, yeah, my clients are using what I be using.
That's the same thing here. So like they get the comment of views, but like I hear guys that are just private recreational fishermen. Their stuff is getting treated much better.
Much better
So
than
your
we
stuff
are.
should last,
Yeah,
forever.
I hope that's the goal. Hopefully, right?
But I mean, you're fishing hard too, so it's just.
But you're the one touching your good gear.
Yeah, well, when you talk, it was funny. You talk about like you don't have your setup. Well, I do.
Yeah.
Because I have the Seiglers and I have the Tsunami Slow Pitch, and like I'll fish with all four of them on certain days, and then I obviously bring friends out and they're using it. But I have the one special live bait striper rod, and that is my Black Hole Slow Pitch Cape Cod Special that I built, and I acid wrapped it with micro guides. I didn't even put a reel seat on it, so I have a zip tied reel seat holding on what I think to be the most badass striper fishing reel. And people will argue with me about this because they're just so damn expensive. But the Accurate Boss Valiant 300 is fucking awesome,
dude.
You went haddock fishing with that.
I have. I've got
remember that
everything
reel
with it.
seat.
Yeah.
The sharpest.
Dude,
reel
that reel is so light and so small. My thumb doesn't even like fit on the spool.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? That's a solid.
What do you put on there for braid?
30-pound Power
30
Pro.
pound, okay.
Yeah, it's honestly awesome. And
It's smooth as a baby behind.
I used 2 clamps and I took those off, and I did get a nice like reel seat that I have I zip tied it to the rod.
That's nice.
Because the handle itself is like bicycle grip, like wind grip almost, and then a golf club grip at the end.
Yeah. That's what I do remember. I remember it was like park golf club.
It's a Frankenstein.
At the time, I was into golfing. That was before I was,
Yeah.
It actually worked out pretty well, though, right?
Yeah.
You guys are doing that disc golf, right? Still?
I haven't gone in a while.
On occasion.
Actually. Yeah, I haven't been. I'm so busy dealing with camera issues with this thing.
Yeah. Well.
Yeah. I'd like to get out there. Yeah, maybe if it's night, you want to go one day this week?
I would, yeah.
Yeah, we haven't been in a while.
Why not?
I don't do that.
Well, I'm so fat, dude. I've been like hibernating for 2 months.
I maintain my fatness from previous years, so I'm like right where I need to be.
Yeah.
I'm like right in the honey pot.
Yeah.
Yeah. I think if I could do anything, I would probably lose weight, and I'm probably not gonna. That's not gonna happen.
Yeah.
I like food and I like drinks, so like those two don't really work out well.
You're loving life.
Don't. That reminded me of something.
Just get it in your face.
Oh God, it's like nightmares from that night, huh? Oh. So yeah, so we survived winter. We're what
2 weeks away,
less
baby.
than 2 weeks, right?
Probably 1 week from when we post this on Sunday.
Unreal. I can't wait.
Yeah, the cover is off the boat. Wow, I'm gonna do mine this week. I think.
Yeah, me
During
too.
the week.
I was last year started off with kind of like really bad weather and stuff like that. I think I was just bitchy for like I think I was very very bitchy.
You
for,
kind of
like,
bitchy right off the bat last
I was
year. I'm not gonna
bitchy
lie.
right off the bat. I just think it was just like so much going on at home with the work, like the stuff I was working on in the house, and
That's right. You basically had to redo your whole fucking
yeah, I had to
porch.
redo the whole fucking porch. And then like this year was like chasing a guy to do vinyl, which the guy who actually ended up doing vinyl was fucking rock star Alex. Thank you. I can't wait to take you out fishing to say thank you. But yeah, it was just like one thing after another, and then it was just like, oh god, I just want to go out. And then it sucked out there a couple trips, and man, I was grumpy, and man, it lasted a while. I wanna definitely do a better job not being a bitch.
Because you're not a grumpy guy, John.
I'm not.
You're not a grumpy guy
I'm not,
at all.
but man, I was definitely. I wasn't sleeping. And it was like stress, all that stuff. Like it just gets to you, and then like people don't know we don't fucking sleep.
Don't sleep.
You don't sleep. You're coming home, you're working on that last thing that needs to be fixed for the next day. You're answering phone calls. You're doing your financial stuff. You're just running around like a chicken with your fucking head cut off from.
Yeah, dude, I commend you, man, because like trailering the boat,
Yeah.
like doing that work, like bringing it home, cleaning it up, and doing it again, like oof.
Yeah, I like the flexibility of having it at my house, working on it. I think the boat stays in better shape. I mean, the boat's 10 years this year, 10 years old.
It's got a birthday.
Double digits.
Yeah, I'll be 40 and he'll be 10. So pretty wild. But yeah, the boat's treated me really well. Not too many significant issues, just general maintenance stuff. And goes to say that's a Steiger craft. That's a good boat. I want to buy a new one, but it's like, they're just so crazy price right now. And the market's thin. There's not a lot of inventory. All the boat builders are suffering right now for what they can actually build because they can't even get the materials to build boats.
Yep.
So,
well, luckily, Brian seems to have a pretty good system going.
Yeah. Oh, yeah. We do have to give them the plug that.
Big announcement. Pear Custom coming to Massachusetts, baby.
wow.
Yeah.
That's going to be fun.
They're already starting to deal them in Barnstable. What is the Millway Marine?
Millway Marina in Barnstable, Massachusetts will now be selling Pear Customs. So go check them out.
I just randomly, I always search for a 24D. I'm like looking for 24 DPs. I'm looking for
there's one for sale right now.
And then used one. No, that was a 21. But then they had I was just looking on like Boat Trader.
The one with the 350 on the back.
Yeah, it's like it's a 300
on a 21.
On a 21.
Oh, the one I saw was
350 dual prop. Yeah, that's the one. Yeah,
on a 21. Yeah. Oh my god,
that's like you see plaid.
Yeah, I know. The boat must go like 70 miles an hour.
It looks like Star Wars when you take off.
Yeah.
But yeah, the one thing I have to say, being on your boat, Brian builds a hell of a boat.
So does the Steiger too.
Yeah, seeing those
similar to those 3-piece boats, man.
3-piece. So actually, we just had Brian Coombs on. I don't know if you heard it. We had him last week, but one of the things we were talking about as a charter captain, one of the major advantages is after you've done it for a few years, you definitely understand what it is you want in a boat. More so because our bodies are getting beat to shit.
Yep.
You need the flexibility. You need something strong and tough that you're not going to be busting down and breaking up and easy to work on. And you have a Steiger 3-piece boat. Him and I have Pear Customs 3-piece boat. Brian has a Jones Brothers 3-piece boat. Fallon has a Parker 3-piece boat. And that just seems to really be kind of like, if you guys are ever looking at boats and you want something that's going to be durable, take a look at what the guys who are doing every day for a living are fishing out there.
Yeah, and, when it comes to motors right now, they're all pretty damn good.
You can't really go wrong.
You kind of can't go wrong. I was so anti-Mercury for a while, and now they're starting to impress me again. They're just really hell of a motor.
The thing with them, too, is like they're light. Right?
They are.
So, they have good propulsion. They're a light motor. You're going to go a little bit faster.
Yeah. But I'm still a Yamaha guy, and Suzuki's probably my second choice.
Yeah, so with Suzuki, though, like we're lucky now in Newburyport, we do have, Port Marine? Is that the name of the place?
Port Marine, we got a new Suzuki dealer. I just got my Suzuki parts from a couple weeks ago.
Yeah, my order's in. I got to go pick it up. They probably don't even think I'm picking it up at this point, but I definitely am. I'm going to go tomorrow.
They're nice people. And, it's great. So, because we used to have to go to Cape Ann Marina.
What was the place in Hampton?
Seacoast, I think it was. Yeah. So it's nice having something right across the street.
I think it's like one of those things like when you work on a certain type of boat engine, you get so familiar with it that, man, if I repower, I want to just buy another 300 and put it on the back.
Yeah.
But the price points are just ridiculous for these Yamahas.
Yeah.
You're spending $27,000 to repower. And then, you want to get a new set of controls because they came out with a new style of controls, which is a little bit more, ergonomic or whatever. Well, there's another $1,800.
Easy.
And then you got to have someone put it on. So it's a $30,000 to $32,000
car payment.
Yeah, it's you can finance it. Then you got to look at the warranty thing. Like, okay, well, Suzuki has 5 years, but the Yamaha is like direct. There's all these they'll actually work on it. But it's like chasing all that stuff, but Suzuki seems to be kicking ass right now. They seem to be the number one repower engine.
100%. Well, I think because they are priced a little bit less, and they've been proven to be a great.
Yeah.
I mean, I love mine. I got, I don't even know, 3,800 hours on my boat.
Wow.
Close to something like that. And
God.
Please, I'm not even going to say it. I like them.
Yeah.
I like them a lot,
Yeah. So,
but I've also had a Yamaha engine that had 5,000 hours on it when I sold it. I had a Honda that had 2,500 hours on it. So my 3 boats, I've had Honda, Yamaha, Suzuki. And you know what? I haven't had any issues with all of them. I did have to replace the lower unit on my Yamaha. I did have to do that.
I had a Seahorse, 1964, that's still working right now.
They don't make them like they used to, huh?
Yeah, and then I had a Game Fisher. That was by Sears.
Ooh.
Yeah, the thing was loud. It was like a chainsaw. It was just.
And if you're in our neck of the area, now that we have Port Marine, we got a Mercury place, with Riverfront. We got a Yamaha place with Hudson's, and we got a Suzuki place at Port Marine. So all your three major motor brand, and Honda as well with
Crockers,
Hudson's and Hudson's and Crockers.
Yeah.
So now there's no excuse. Buy what you want. Buy what you can afford.
Yeah, I mean, and I heard Honda's coming out with 300s and bigger motors now.
No, you know what? Honda gets no love. They're great engines.
Great motors.
They're great engines, but you just never hear anyone talk about them.
They're the same motor that's in like a Civic or whatever.
Yeah, it's their car.
It's their car engine, and we know how long those damn things drive for. Yeah. So I mean, everything will rot off around the damn car, but the thing will run forever. Yeah. So a lot of respect to the Hondas. I always look at Hondas, but I want to get to, like, if I repower this 250M, I've actually thought about reflashing the ECU. Yeah. You can make it up to
hot rod in it.
Yeah, you can make it up to a 332 horse, but then you got to like kind of mess with the prop probably.
Yeah.
But I like to go fast. I think we know that. On most of my first days.
If you ain't first, you last.
I know every time we go to Jeffrey's in your boat, it's like you blink your eye, it feels like we're there in 20 minutes because you're going ripping 40 the whole way.
Don't care about fuel. It's just
you
awesome.
don't. You do not care about fuel, which is weird because you are kind of cheap.
Zero fucks.
Yeah, you don't give a fuck about fuel.
But I have zero patience. I'm cheap, but I have zero patience. I'm like, I want it now and I want it cheap. Wow, fuck it. But that's kind of the nature of it. Like, I got a 150-gallon tank. Sometimes you got to do a little flush. You got to burn it out. Well, I'm getting it cheaper because I'm getting my fuel.
You're getting
it. You're going to the pump
on land.
That's
you guys
way cheaper.
I was driving by that
$610 last year.
Yeah, I wonder what it's going to be from the open this year.
Ooh, I don't know.
Let's see. I'll just go down to the Parker.
It seemed like a lot of people were doing just that. You saw a lot of people going up to Hampton or down to the Parker to get fuel, and I think the Merrimack gas stocks are going to stop pricing themselves out, but. I know it's too convenient for most people. They'll do fine.
Yeah, they'll be okay.
They'll be okay.
They're not bleeding.
If you think about it, even if they get less boats, it's going to be.
They'll just jack the price up more.
Yeah,
exactly.
People will pay it eventually, or your what is it, that rum drink there at the deck? They'll go up.
Yeah, that'll be $32 for a drink.
Oof. Oh my God, the deck! I can't wait.
Yeah.
I can't wait for my first sandwich there.
Oh, are you going to get the Samita sandwich?
Samita.
Yeah. Oh, God. Yeah.
The Samita. Oh, they're truffle fries.
Yeah.
I was pretty good last year, though. I probably only went about 24 times. So.
Yeah.
Hey, actually,
get off the phone. Get on the list.
Have you tried that new place yet? New report, the Cormorant, where Mama Duke's used to be?
No, I haven't.
I want to give them a little shot. That place is great. Little burger joint.
Oh, yeah.
They have boozy shakes.
Did you leave a tip?
You know what? I felt so bad because you're not supposed to leave a tip. Like, they tell you it's big. Like, we pay our waitresses and waiters a fair wage, wage.
Yeah.
And they're like, they're not expected to tip. So I don't know. I felt so weird, but I didn't. I mean, they told me to. Right?
I hated that. Like, like some Dunkin' Donuts, like, we do not accept tips. Oh. And I'm like, yes, they do.
Right?
Yeah, this is like indentured servitude.
Yeah.
Who are you?
So am I a dick for not tipping?
So yes. Listen.
But
I don't like that. The only tipping situation I do not like is the flip of the screen.
I stopped going to Starbucks because of it. Not like,
man, it does definitely turn the boat around. Like, having that fucked up sense of humor. It just it gets like, that's what people are out there for. They're out there to have fun. Like, I'm not out there to make myself be anything but what I am in normal life. I'm fine.
Well, you got to be careful. Don't go too far, John.
But no, I mean, I like to, the reason why I did this is because it's for fun. Like, and
you've come a long way since the lobster tours.
Oh, fuck that. That sucked. But, again, like, there was some opportunities there too. It's just like, I see Bob Tonican doing that, and he's having a freaking he's crushing it. He's having the lobster tours, and like, that's his thing. That's his niche. Well, it's one of his niches, and like, he's killing it with that. And I tried doing it. My boat's not really outfitted to have a whole bunch of people doing that, but having a couple kids that came out with their parents and doing that, it was a fun experience. It's just, it's the problem is landing in New Hampshire.
Your boat dock was at Mass.
My dock was right in front of the deck restaurant, and then I'd have to land my lobsters up in Seabrook or Hampton to be legal, and lobster fish obviously in New Hampshire because I was a New Hampshire guy. So just the timing wasn't right. Like it was, I started hating it. Beats the shit out of your boat, beats the shit out of your body. You know, that's that sweat and salt in your gloves. Your hands just peel. Like you're just peeling meat off of you. You're like, oh, this is gross. Ugh. Yeah, it was awesome.
All those little bugs, all the little sea bugs.
Oh, well, that's the one thing I love about Steiger is like everything just flushes out the back so easy. So like I'd have my live well, once I sold my lobsters or whatever, I just pull the hose off the live well and just run that full bore with the deck hose blasting. And I mean, it just washed. And it was great if it was raining too, because it just helped everything kind of slide out the ass end. But yeah, it's still very messy. You still find like little creatures everywhere. But yeah,
do you ever get anything cool in your traps? Like anything unexpected?
Yeah, someone's empties.
Nah, really?
Yeah, with all my lobsters stolen out of them.
Oh, wow.
So they drank, actually, so you have like, some of you guys probably know, but some of the small lobstermen, they'll have like a keeper trap. So it's a hard-sided trap. Can't get in, so you feed them. So if you're going to come out the next day, so you can get a bunch of lobsters so you don't have to, if you want to like, you know.
Yeah, keep them in the habitat.
Keep them in the habitat until you're ready to sell them or eat them for a big party or whatever. So anyways, had a whole bunch of keepers in my keeper trap. And some asshole stole them all. And actually, I just saw they passed in New Hampshire. This is going to be a big deal because I know there were some people pretty pissed off. They're going to release, I think it's 100 scuba diving permits in New Hampshire.
In New Hampshire?
Yeah, it's 3 lobsters per.
Oh, it's going to be a nightmare.
Dude, that coastline is like 6 miles.
Yeah.
And they're doing 100?
It's 11 miles long.
Is it 11?
Yeah, it's 11 miles long.
So it's 10 people per mile.
Yeah, but I mean.
So every 500 feet is a person.
But they're only allowed to keep 3.
Yeah.
You know, so the way I look at it is my grandfather did it way back in the day. And he was always like, the lobstermen always thought that they were stealing their lobsters out of the trap. And my grandfather's like, no, the reason why we're doing it is because it's fun to catch them. Like it was actually fun to go look for them in the cracks and like, you know, try to find the big one that you wanted to keep. So like taking them out of a lobsterman's trap, at least, you know, an honest guy. I don't think that wasn't happening. Maybe occasionally someone was stealing out of it, but it seemed like that was the fun of going scuba diving, is going trying to find these things and catch them.
I think if there's 100, there's just going to be people in the way though trying to fish. It's like
that's the only thing I'm worried about is the amount of dive flags that we see.
Yeah,
and safety.
Exactly.
Safety is my number one concern about that. Whether or not that's going to be the thing that shuts it
it's
down.
a minefield up there.
Yeah,
it's going to be everywhere.
Yeah, it's already bad with littered with traps.
Yeah.
But I would assume.
And now trying to decipher real quick, like, you know what I mean? Because sometimes it's hard to see those flags. And half the fucking guys that are out there diving don't even put them out there.
Or the guys that are, you know, novice boaters that are out there that
don't even know what the hell they're looking at.
Yeah, you know, all we got to do is lose one scuba guy and we'll be back to normal.
Yeah.
You know, knee-jerk reaction the other way.
Right.
Yeah, we got to lose a guy to win this battle. But no, I mean, honestly, I thought it was cool because, I mean, obviously it works in Mass. They've been doing that, you know, scuba diving permit for how many years now?
Yeah.
You know, so it can be done. I just think maybe it just has to be now. It has to be advertised. People have to understand that there'll be a lot more divers potentially in the New Hampshire waters.
Yeah, I didn't know that. So thank you for informing us for sure.
Yeah, it's going to be an interesting piece of legislation. I believe it passed. So I think it's in the books for this year. Oh, COVID.
It would be pretty cool to go out, like going out to the Isle of Shoals and doing that, you know?
Well, yeah.
Ooh, that'd be awesome.
Yeah. I just want to see you in a wetsuit.
Oh. It's a pretty thing, I'll tell you.
God.
I feel like a real seal.
It went from 6 to midnight. Let's do this. Are we done?
Well, now that we got that image in our head, yeah, I think we got to end it on that one. All right, John. Hey, thank you for coming up, brother.
Yeah, thanks for coming in, John.
Soon.
It's good talking
Can't
to you,
wait.
man.
And then we got our first trip coming out in a couple of weeks. We're still invited to that, right?
Absolutely. I think it's going to look like the escape boat from the Titanic with the amount of people that want to come on it.
Oh, the one from Cuba the other day.
Yeah, the refugee
video.
boats. Yeah, mine's going to look like a refugee boat. Yeah, I'm excited to get out there. You know, while we have this haddock limit, and you know, we'll see. You know, we could get out there and land right on them and be cracking crushing it. We might be frustrated. We don't know.
Hey,
right.
well, we don't know if we don't go.
So before we go, John, if someone wants to book a charter with Captain John Parkhurst, how are they going to get a hold of you?
Through his OnlyFans site.
Yeah, through my OnlyFans site. It's mostly feet pics, so you'll see it. I have
Big money in feet these days.
Yeah, I have a bunion, so you'll know it's me.
It's got a little hook at the end.
Yeah,
of
it's
the
got a hook in it, and I got a talon in the back. I got real weird feet. But no, ParkhurstCharters.com. I'm also on Facebook and Instagram. But no, yeah, just reach out to me. Either shoot me a message on there or call me on my line, and we could set it up. I'm hoping to be very busy this year, so feel free to call. And you guys want to talk about the Steiger craft or anything we talked about too today? Probably not all the perverted stuff, but we'll dabble. You can call me on that too.
We're gonna hear this.
I'll get like 30 calls like, oh, dude, dick and fart.
Dude, I think the thumbnail is going to be parental advisory explicit content on this one.
Oh, man.
Oh, God. Well, if you know me, you know what I'm like.
Yeah, I know.
Yeah,
That's
don't
great.
listen to this one bringing your kids to school.
Yeah. But let's get back to Disney. Fuck those parents. But anyways, no. Thanks for having me, guys. It's always fun, and just excited for the season. Let's get going.
Oh, yeah,
Let's go.
Let's go.
Yep.
All right, guys. Thank you for listening. If you're still interested after that conversation,
And this is how the show ended.
check out houseofthemerrimack.com. I don't know if you want any more information from this section, but you can go to our website, become a member. $7 a month, get access to all kinds of blogs, videos, and we're starting striped bass mastery course this week. So we'll have the first one recorded for you if you're new, and this Thursday will be part 2 of that seminar series. So it'll be really fun. Really excited for it.
All right.
All right, thank you.